2717 is the other case with the same charges, same offense date. He has a bond on that case, and it looks like it might have been filed, I assume, sooner, given the case number than this case.
Can you give me that other case number again? 22 CP
207 717.
717. Well, so I'm looking between 340 and 20717.
Yes.
Some have different offense dates. One has 323 and the other has 914 on the warrants. You're on mute, Mr. McCullough.
Pardon me?
I said he was on mute.
Yes, Your Honor. I apologize about that. That was another officer calling me. I thought it was for this.
Okay.
It was for the next one. I apologize. I didn't hear you, Your Honor. What did you say?
No,
ma'am?
I said I'm looking at the one in it one ending in, it's on the calendar 2340, and on the warrants, those have official dates of offense dates of September the 14th.
Yes, Your Honor. And let me take a look. I
So
just
the
wanted to have
20717 have March offense dates.
those will be two different instances, then, Your Honor.
Yeah, they have March 23rd, 2022.
Okay. They're the very same charges. He was arrested about the same time for each, both of these, but we're ready to, we can proceed with the prelim if it's, I haven't, the charges seem to be the same, other than I think there's an additional charge of concealed weapon.
So I guess you haven't seen the warrants, because one warrant has March 23rd at 4 a.m. and the other one has a September date.
Okay.
So we don't know. So sure. If you put your email in the chat, we can email you the warrant so that you can, not that you don't believe me, but
I believe you, but I'd love to see them. So let me go ahead and do that, Judge.
So what do we know on the officer for Darius Graham? Nothing yet?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, so who wants to go first? Who worked all night? Daniel Kane's like, I did, right? No? You got two cases, right? All right. Well, we don't know. We're waiting on that officer, right? To see if Bayman Hinton is going to go forward.
No, we're not.
I mean,
the officer's
waiting on the
Bayman
victim.
Hinton. You're just waiting to
On the
speak
victim.
to the victim.
Wait to speak.
Mr. Kane, I just want to be honest with you. I did give it to my victim advocate. I know we're working on it, but I'm not saying it's going to be an immediate thing. I don't want to delay the hearing on trying to wait on them, trying to get in contact with them. I don't think that'd be judicial economy.
You want to wait till we go through a couple to see?
I beg your pardon?
Do you want to wait to go through a couple of these to see if we
I'm
get?
good with that.
Okay, that's fine. All right, what about the officer on Delvin Tillis?
John Nano, and he's there. I spoke.
Right. Delvin Tillis, position 7. Good to have you back, officer.
Good morning. Good morning, Your Honor. I'm substituting for Scott Drake on this case.
Okay. Come on up here. Hey, check that microphone before we start. Sometimes it doesn't. Can you hear? Madam Court Reporter,
No, I'm unable to hear.
try again. Any better?
No.
Dear God. That last one.
Your Honor, I still don't mind if they go to the prosecution desk.
Yeah, let's go sit at the prosecuting table if you don't mind. That one's been messed up.
Thank you.
Sure. Just let us know. He'll test it when he gets there and just kind of pull it down like,
Do it again. I'm sorry. Do it one more time.
oh, you don't have to.
Testing.
That's a little better. It's just a little fuzzy, but it's a little better.
How about that if he backs up a little bit?
If I back, is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Lower your hand, state your name, first and last, and spell the vote for the courts.
Detective John Nanoff, John. My last name is Nanoff.
And you're Mr. Tillis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. This is position 7, 22 CP 214593. Telvin Tillis. Let me make sure this was right. 1 second. Let me get back to Telvin's. He's got 122 days without indictment, possession of tools for a crime, possession of Schedule 1 controlled substance, criminal damage to property in second degree, theft by receiving stolen mail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counts. Injuring, tearing down, destruction of mailboxes, injuring, defacing, destruction of mail, willful obstruction, misdemeanor. All right. Go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, is it officer or is it detective?
Detective,
All right, Detective Nanoff, where are you currently employed?
Sandy Springs Police Department.
And were you employed with them on November the 16th, 2021?
Yes, sir.
And how did you become aware of Telvin Tillis?
At the time I was assigned to the patrol division, we received a call of suspicious activity at 7100 Roswell Road, Sandy Springs, Georgia, in Fulton County. Officer Crisp arrived on scene before I did. Several of us were dispatched to this call of 2 black males standing in front of a mailbox next to a metallic silver colored car. Officer Crisp arrived before I did. He circled one of the buildings and pulled up to the mailboxes where Mr. Tillis was standing out front of the mailboxes. Immediately upon this Officer Crisp making contact with Mr. Tillis, he said that he was waiting for a cousin who lived in the complex, put the phone up to his mouth and allegedly told his cousin, "Come get me, the police were here." Officer Crisp noticed a black duffel bag sitting next to the mailboxes. The mailboxes were torn apart and opened, and there was mail on the ground and inside the duffel bag. Officer Crisp returned to Mr. Tillis, asked him if he had identification. He patted his pocket, said he didn't have it on him, but he turned around and walked backwards towards a silver colored Lexus sedan. He reached into the passenger seat. At that time, when he opened the door, Officer Crisp was able to see a driver in the driver's seat. Mr. Tillis retrieved his wallet from inside the vehicle, produced his driver's license and handed it to Officer Crisp. When Sergeant Smith pulled up, he noticed the duffel bag next to the mailboxes as well. He told Mr. Tillis to place his hands behind his back. Mr. Tillis did not comply. Sergeant Smith told him again, place your hands behind your back. Mr. Tillis did not comply. As Mr. Tillis began to turn around, he took off on foot. Sergeant Smith gave chase. Officer Crisp engaged the driver of the vehicle, told him to put it in park, exit the car. The driver took off. That's when I arrived onto the apartment complex at the exit gate. I held that position because it's one way in, one way out. And the vehicle that was being driven by Mr. Efford went back into the apartment complex, which we later found abandoned in the apartment complex. we secured that vehicle, towed it back to Sandy Springs Police Department headquarters.
And then what did you do next?
We obviously collected all of the mail and the duffel bag from the scene. Like I said, we towed the vehicle back to Sandy Springs headquarters. I obtained a search warrant for that vehicle. In that vehicle, I found, I believe it was 6 screwdrivers, a wrench, a crowbar, multiple rounds of ammunition, 4 packs of edible marijuana that had been altered. So it was no longer in the form of marijuana, it was in the form of like cookies. I found additional mail that did not belong to either Mr. Effort or Mr. Tillis. And 2 cell phones that were also in the front seat. And I should note that the vehicle that we did tow was co-owned by Mr. Effort and by Mr. Tillis.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? It was the vehicle?
The vehicle was owned by both. It was registered to both Mr. Effort and Mr. Tillis as co-owners of the vehicle that we towed.
Through your investigation, was you able to determine, was Mr. Tillis a resident of the apartment complex?
No, Mr. Tillis was not a resident of the apartment complex at the time that this took place.
Did Mr. Tillis, through your investigation, did he work for the U.S. Postal Service?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Through your investigation, was you able to determine, did he have any permission to enter into the mailboxes that were there?
No, he did not. I actually spoke with the manager of the apartment complex. He ended up, there was damage done to at least 59 separate mailboxes and 1 entire block of mailboxes, requiring all of those needing to be replaced, which came out to just over $2,900.
And did you speak with Mr. Tillis at any point during this investigation outside of the first interactions?
No, I had never spoken to Mr. Tillis. He fled on foot prior to even my arrival. Officer Chris was one that made contact with him. And he was not found at the time of the incident. He was able to get away and he was apprehended on his warrants later.
With the incident, did you review any video footage from the apartment complex?
That apartment complex does not have video footage where the mailboxes are located.
With the damage to the mailboxes, did they give you a written quote or was it verbal when you found the amount for the damage?
It was a verbal quote. I received it verbally over the phone. However, all my phones are tape recorded, so it should be part of the evidence package through evidence.com.
How many pieces of mail was in the vehicle that did not have the name of Telvin Tillis on it?
In the vehicle, there was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There were 16 pieces of individual mail, and then there was also a large box that did not have either Mr. Effort or Mr. Tillis's name on it. So 17 items total.
And you referenced the duffel bag a few times. What was inside the duffel bag?
Inside the duffel bag was approximately 140 pieces of mail from the 7100 Roswell Road is the apartment address for the leasing office. However, each individual each individual apartment has its own address, and the street name for that address is the Valley. So it'd be apartment, 5204 The Valley. So there were 104 pieces of mail from the apartments inside that complex.
During this incident, was the officer body cam on when he made contact with Mr. Tillis?
Yes, his body cam was activated during this interaction.
Was he in a marked police vehicle?
Yes, he was.
Was he in a uniform for that police department, Sandy Springs?
Yes.
And you said he announced himself. Was that caught on his body cam at the time? When he announced?
Yes, his body cam was activated while he was as he was getting out of his car. So the entire interaction with Mr. Tillis was caught on body camera.
And did you all take any pictures or of the actual damage to the mailboxes?
Yes, I personally went out and took my department issued camera and took pictures of all the damaged mailboxes. I also have photographs of all the mail, each individual piece of mail.
And through each individual piece of mail, was Telvin Tillis on any of the pieces of mail?
No, the only documents that Telvin Tillis's name was on is inside the car. I found an accordion file full of paperwork for Telvin Tillis, but mail, the actual mail, no, he was not listed on any of the pieces of mail.
When the officer arrived initially on the scene, was there anybody else near the mailboxes other than Telvin Tillis?
No, and Officer Crisp actually went around the building because we had received a call earlier in the day about a suspicious vehicle in that same area. So he didn't immediately go to the mailboxes. He bypassed the mailboxes, went around the building and came out from the other side. He didn't see the vehicle in question, but he did see Mr. Tillis still standing next to the mailboxes.
And you have the warrant for possession of a Schedule I controlled substance. What is your training in regards to illegal narcotics?
I'm just have taken classes that aids me in helping identify different types of drugs. As I stated earlier, the reason I took the Schedule I is because the marijuana inside the alleged marijuana inside the package was altered to the point where it was no longer identifiable as marijuana except for the wording on the packaging, which constitutes a felony charge.
And once, what is the typical process in regards to when illegal drugs are obtained during an investigation? During an investigation?
When we obtain illegal drugs, we can have our narcotics unit come and test the drugs. However, specifically with marijuana, in this particular instance, we send that off to the GBI since it is since the marijuana was an altered substance and no longer visibly identifiable as marijuana. I did send it off to the GBI for testing. As of this date, I don't believe it has gone through its full testing yet, so I don't have those results back, but it is down at the GBI awaiting testing.
Okay. And You had described a couple of screwdrivers and tools and things of that sort. Those are typical tools that you can find at Home Depot. Please tell me why the warrant was written in regards to those common tools.
Because generally, most people don't have those crowbar, screwdrivers, and a wrench inside their vehicle. If they do, they oftentimes don't have 6 screwdrivers. However, screwdrivers and crowbars are often used to pry open things that are locked, such as mailboxes, doors, windows, things of that nature. It's just those items are used in furtherance of crime so that they can get into things that are normally locked or shut or that they don't have access to.
And what is the address for this apartment complex?
7100 Roswell Road, Sandy Springs,
And what county is that in?
Fulton County.
Were you post certified during this investigation?
Yes, sir.
Do you see Mr. Tillis in the courtroom at this time?
Yes.
Can you please describe an article of clothing that he is wearing?
He has on a blue Fulton County inmate shirt with a gray sweatshirt underneath it.
No further questions asked, Your Honor.
We'll take note that he identified the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure. Croft?
Thank you, Your Honor. So Detective, did you review the body cam videos?
I did.
And so because you've never seen Mr. Tillis, correct, in person?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so your identification is based on what?
Did speak with Officer Crisp when he turned over the driver's license and the wallet that Mr. Tillis dropped when he fled. I confirmed with him that the person on the driver's license was the person that he had made contact with. Officer Crisp confirmed that. I also reviewed the body camera footage and I was able to review it and pause it at specific moments and make a comparison to the driver's license photo that was handed to Officer Crisp.
Okay, so your identification is basically that the gentleman you identified looks like the driver's license photo in the video you saw.
And then the statement from Officer Crisp stating that the person who handed him the driver's license was the same person that was at the scene.
Okay. So, based upon your investigation, Mr. Tillis was not seen breaking into a mailbox. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And the duffel bag was on the ground beside him,
Yes.
and there was a driver of the vehicle.
Yes.
Inside the vehicle, where were all of the items located?
The box that belonged to James Davis was in the trunk of the vehicle. The rest of the items were, excuse me, inside the passenger compartment of the vehicle. Some were in the passenger and driver doors, the pocket on the bottom, and some were in the back seat.
Now, after the vehicle left the scene, how long was it before that vehicle was found?
Technically, the vehicle never left the scene because there's a one-way in, one-way out, and I was blocking the exit when I arrived. The vehicle tried to exit, but I was able to stop it. It went back into the apartment complex and parked, and it was found approximately 2 to 3 minutes later by one of the officers that arrived on scene after me that went looking for the vehicle.
Okay, so the time that the officer was speaking to Mr. Tillis and the time you found the vehicle, Mr. Tillis was never back inside that vehicle. Would that be a fair statement?
Correct. To my knowledge.
So the only person in that vehicle who had control over its content.
Can't hear you, Mr. Drake. You got, when you turn your head, can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
That's okay.
the only person who was inside the vehicle who could have moved anything inside the vehicle would have been the driver.
From the time we made contact with them to the point we obtained the car, yes.
Okay. So my understanding is.
Objection, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I'm not able to hear it right now, Your
Straight.
Honor.
When you turn your head, you can't hear you.
I'm sorry, so you pulled up, or an officer pulled up, made contact with Mr. Tillis, gave him his wallet, and then he wanted him to place his hands behind his back. What was he under arrest for at that time?
Well, an officer made contact with him when he asked for ID. Mr. Tillis didn't have it on him. He returned to the vehicle, the silver Lexus. He returned to that vehicle, obtained his wallet from the passenger seat of that vehicle, and then reshut the door. My sergeant was going to detain him based on the fact that the mailboxes had been broken into. There was a duffel bag full of mail, and we got a call about suspicious activity involving that vehicle and 2 black males at the mailboxes.
Other than merely being present, what evidence do you have that Mr. Tillis actually broke into the mailboxes?
Well, Mr. Tillis had his wallet inside a vehicle that had multiple screwdrivers and crowbars and other pieces of mail that were also stolen. He was on scene.
Okay, what evidence do you have that he knew that equipment was in the car or that he had ever exercised control over them?
I don't have any.
Let's talk about the.
You can't, Mr. Drake, you still turn your head.
I don't know why it does that. Let's talk about the Schedule 1 controlled substance. You indicated that it was marijuana, but it had been altered, and I think I missed that. Can you explain that again, please?
So the packaging or the marijuana was in a packaging that oftentimes what is happening is they are altering it and making it look like cookies or like Oreos or some other item. So the marijuana is altered from its original form, and so it's no longer plant-based. And then it's packaged in a way, and I'm trying to find the picture so I can tell you what it was. So it's altered in a way so that it's no longer readily identifiable as marijuana if it's outside the packaging.
Was the packaging opened?
No.
So the package was not open, and the package indicated that it had THC in it, or?
Yes. Yes. So for example, these were called chocolate cream Stonios. On the front of the packaging, there's a large marijuana leaf. And on the rear, I believe it says contains THC. There's also Mike and Ike Berry Blasts. That as well said contains THC. And there were 4 packages of those.
Did they indicate that it was a Delta variant at all?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So at this point, you don't know if it actually contains any THC or anything that would make it a Schedule 1, correct?
Based off the fact that it was just altered from its original state to these, it would make it a Schedule 1. But the contents of it have been sent to the GBI for confirmation.
The duffel bag, anything specific to my client in the duffel bag?
Not that I found.
And other than merely being beside it, do you have any evidence that he ever possessed or controlled that duffel bag?
No.
I I don't have anything else. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else from the state?
Nothing else for this officer at this time, Your Honor. I asked that he would be released and allowed to leave at this time, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we will, ask that 9. I will ask that 9 additional counts of, let me get the right number. Theft by possession of stolen mail 16-8-24 be added. With the testimony of the officer today, it was 140 pieces of mail that was in the duffel bag that was in his direct possession and control, because it was right next to him, and it was 16 pieces inside the vehicle in a large box. That is a total of 157 pieces of mail, Your Honor. In regards to 16-8-24, if it is at least 3 names and 10 pieces of mail. So it was only 6 charges as of right now, and I'm asking for 9 additional charges. Your Honor.
Ms. Drake?
Your Honor, I'm asking that all of those warrants be dismissed and the court bind over the misdemeanor obstruction. The officer clearly stated that other than mere presence, that he had no evidence that my client had knowledge of or possessed or controlled the duffel bag or any of the mail that's inside the vehicle. He further testified he had no evidence that my client had knowledge or had exercised control over the tools for the commission of a crime. There was a period of time where he was not in the vehicle, so we don't know if where the items were finally located, if that's where they were when my client was in the vehicle, if they were moved or thrown about when the driver was trying to get away from the scene. And I know that this is a preliminary hearing, but at trial, that officer's testimony pretty much solidified that my client had no knowledge and that he did not exercise control over any of these. Even as a party to a crime, there's been no evidence that my client helped, encouraged, was even there when these other mailboxes were broken into. So I would ask that all but those 2 warrants be dismissed.
Final word, Mr. McCollum.
Yes, Your Honor. He was the only person that was out there. The officer did not go immediately to the mailbox. He actually circled around. It was nobody else there. He was the only one standing there. The bag was the only one next to him. Your Honor, he was out there actively breaking into the mailboxes, Your Honor. The officer has supplied enough information in regards to us to be able to go forward, and I find that the court find probable cause for all the charges and also an additional 9 charges of theft by possession of stolen mail.
All right now we have 11 charges with a $82,000 good bond as of March the 13th. So I'll find probable cause on all the existing charges and add the additional 9 charges for the other pieces of mail. So there'll be no bond on those other 9 charges, and we'll go ahead and take it up, Ms. Drake.
Your Honor, I am asking for a bond in this case. The court has heard the evidence. I think, there are potential issues that the state's going to have at trial. My client has been in custody, unable to post that bond. Even with the new warrant, Your Honor, I'm asking the court for an aggregate bond of $50,000. Even at $50,000, I don't know that my client will be able to make that, but it's certainly something I believe after some time the family could do more readily than an $80,000 bond.
Bostic, pre-trial.
Yes, Judge. In regards to Mr. Tillis' extensive conviction history, 15 prior arrests, at least 7 felony convictions, 2012 theft by receiving, 2012 theft by receiving, 2012 entering auto 7 counts, 16 criminal damage to property, 19 aggravated assault, law enforcement officer, theft by receiving, 2016 theft by receiving, 2018 entering auto 16 counts. Nothing further.
All right, what says the state?
Your Honor, we're concerned about protection of property, Your Honor. This is an apartment complex, that is your private information that was seen and touched by multiple people, Your Honor. This is during a time that at the height of this is during the time of COVID when people possibly all the money and the finances, maybe with some checks that was involved in regards to this, Your Honor. We are concerned in regards to the property. And we're also concerned that when the officers was there, he did run at that time, Your Honor. With this concern, Your Honor, we are aware that he or possibility of him not returning to actually face the charges that are before the court, Your Honor. Your Honor, I ask that you take the concern for the public and the public property into consideration, and we would defer to the court for the amount of the bond.
And he's still gonna live in Stone Mountain, Mr. Drake?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact. Let's see, who's that? Miss Bell, this is coming off of my March 13th bond order. Brezita, Brezita Presley. Shanya, Shayna Morris, Caprice Bates, Trung, Trung, last name Doan, Dimitri, Demitri, last name White, Malaya, Malia, last name Coleman, Kimberly Neldell, Nelldell, Mohammed, last name Mbaye, Abdu, Abdou, last name Dieye, Angela Myrick, Myric, Michelle Hunt, Edward Doxson, Doxson, Angela Blair, Linda Ng, Ng. Let's see, this other one is first name Primawam, last name FHU, Fabian Barnhill, Santia Gross, Maurice Gross, YESHI and YALEM, last name YAGZAW, Amber Docks, Kendrick Clark, first name HOSSAENA, last name Daniel, Fenot Daniel, FENOT, Indigo Blue, James Warfield, Alan Lattimore, Taja Triplet, Sherelle, SHERAL, FIORINDZEZ, Corino, COREENO. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You have to supply that to your lawyer and to the ankle monitor, sir. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't get gas, don't get a flat tire, don't get a snack. Put snacks in your car when you come to Fulton County so you don't have to stop for that. Stay away from the reserve at Ridgewood Apartment Complex at 7100 Roswell Road in Sandy Springs, which that's in Fulton County. So there shouldn't be an issue with that. Possession of tools for, let's see, 122 days without indictment. So we got 3,000, criminal damage property, second degree, 3,000 on each of the theft by possession of stolen mail. That includes the other 9 counts also. And then 5,000 on tearing down, destruction of mailboxes, and 2,000 on the misdemeanor obstruction. Is that Ms. Miller?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Your
Rick.
Honor. May I be
Thanks.
excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just to update the court, we are trying to email the warrants to Attorney Clark with the court staff. It kicked it back because it said it's a HIPAA warning. So certain things have a hard time going out. I apologize. I just want to let the court know that we are trying to get it to Ms. Clark. And also, Your Honor, just to update the court, my office have not been able to get in contact with the victim as of yet for positions 4 and 5, Your Honor.
Okay, yes, sir.
Judge, I got position 6. My understanding, we're waiting on the officer. You mind if I go check in with Judge Eaton?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, if I may, as to ADA McCully, I'm sorry, I did receive one of the warrants, so it did come in. I just didn't get the 7th case ending in 7717. So I
Gotcha.
can,
They're forwarding it over to me. I'm trying to get it over to you, just letting you know.
thank
that,
you, I appreciate it.
They're blocking it.
So sometimes you have to put secured and something else in the let me call it subject matter, in the subject line.
And Your Honor, I guess we are ready to go forward in positions 1 and positions 2. They're co-defendants, Your Honor. As of right now, I know we're still waiting on my office in regards to 4 and 5. Like I say, Officer Raymond in position 4 should be en route. If not there already, I'm not sure if they came in.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are, just to let the court know, I understand that the attorney had asked that we wait in regards to our office. I know our office, our victim advocates are delayed, but we're ready.
Which case you here?
Position 5.
We got the officer position 5 here.
Okay, so position 4 and 5 are ready to go forward. Just to let the court know.
Which one you want?
Judge, he just has 5. He doesn't have 4.
He's just got number 5. He doesn't have 4 and 5.
So is this being a Hinton? Yeah, Hinton has the officer 4, 5 is here for the 2 aggravated assault.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we wait for that and see if we can get together on some sort of longer.
All right.
Whenever they speak to the victim, that way the officer won't have to sit around.
Did you hear that, Mr. McCully?
I didn't, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, repeat.
Yes, what I said was, why don't we waive the prelims and just discuss a bond reduction when you've had a chance to speak to the victim.
And Your Honor, I just received the email, Your Honor. And the first line says that she is not recanting at this time. So we're prepared to go forward. I understand.
That's not the point. I know she's not
Are you
recanting.
hearing though? He says, you have waived the prelim, just go ahead on bond.
I'm ready, Your Honor.
All right, so which officers are here on payment?
Okay.
Just you.
We just.
Gosh, we're at, oh, down here, Lieutenant.
Yes.
All right, do you want to bring up Mr. Graham out though, since all we're gonna do is bond?
It's Hinton.
Hinton. Graham Hinton. Here is, can you give him these, there's 2 cases, you give him these because these are waivers for prelim. Oh, not you, they're for Mr. King.
Sorry.
All right, so we got 2 cases for Mr. King. We got position 4, so the officers are gone. They had 22 CP 212351, Bayman Hinton, 208 days without indictment. There's a $17,000 good bond on December the 12th, 2022. Possession of firearm by a convicted felon, possession of marijuana less announced, possession of drug-related objects. And then on position 5, back up here, it's 22 CP 212352, 208 days without indictment, aggravated assault, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
You got 3 counts ag assault or 2?
I just got 2 on here.
Yeah. What bond do you have on the ag assaults?
Well, it's 100,000.
50 on each?
How
How about pre-trial?
about pretrial?
Extensive criminal history, I guess. haven't gone through the whole thing. I know he's currently on probation for aggravated assault. 19 SC 172231, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon sentence in 2020. Other felony convictions for drugs, misdemeanor willful obstruction, another 2010 cocaine, armed robbery, it appears.
Yeah.
That's old. A total of 19 cycles. Nothing further.
All right, and yes, it's 50,000 per ag assault. Go ahead, Mr. King.
Okay, so let's see, let me get the girl's name, Chandrika. So here's what the deal is. Damon hit and lived with a girl named Chandrika. Don't know her what's her last name?
Boyd.
What?
Boyd.
And they went to Las Vegas, they came home and they were breaking up. They're arguing over some money and he's alleged to have pulled a gun. And so he left and she called the police and the policeman took a warrant out. And that resulted in 2 counts of ag assault, which he has $100,000 bond. So I'm asking the court to reduce that. The other is he was riding down the road in Cleveland Avenue? Metropolitan Avenue. And he got stopped in the car and he had a little marijuana in the car and there was a gun in the car. So that's the 15,000. So, and I still have a probation hold, mind you. So he's not going anywhere. I'm just trying to move this into a case. He's been in jail, say 200 and some days?
208.
208 days. Hasn't made these bonds. I'd ask you to set the bonds at 25,000 each. That's even high. That would make it 50. And then the possession of firearm, 5,000. That would make it 55,000 or less. And he's got $1,000 each on the marijuana, and $1,000 on the drug-related objects.
Bostic, I see on Odyssey, there's a warrant out of Cobb County. Do you see that?
Yeah, I asked him about it. Are you speaking to me?
Bostic. I was asking her if she saw it on his.
May I speak, Your Honor?
No, you keep quiet.
Bostic.
Whole probation from 2019.
And that's closed?
Yes, closed.
Yeah. So we understand that's an old probation warrant from 2019.
Mhm.
Probation is closed.
I didn't know if it was still popping up. I mean, do you see it, Mr. McCauley, since Bostic fell asleep on me?
Let me pull it up, Your Honor. I was preparing for my rebuttal, Your Honor.
What's your probation?
Let me go and get it.
Probation in Fulton County.
What judge?
Everywhere this up.
What judge?
His name is Eric Dunn.
Let's see. Oh, did they? That one was this one. Oh, no.
Your Honor, as I get this pulled up, Your Honor, I will go ahead and go through my argument at the same time, just for efficiency for the court. Is that okay, Your Honor?
Jerome Hinton
Does probation hold on?
also, right? Yes, ma'am. He's waived it.
Probation hold for Fulton.
You can go ahead and go. Do you need me to sign something?
Make sure I get the FTA.
Huh?
Make sure I get the FTA.
Oh, yeah. Do you need me to sign something for you saying you're here? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Stay safe. All right, go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor, the concern is if he is on probation for aggravated assault, Your Honor, and he is charged in this case with 2 different counts of aggravated assault, we are concerned for the safety of the public, Your Honor. We're also concerned for the safety of the public while he has been, it appears, convicted of multiple felonies. And he is on probation for aggravated assault. He is riding around the only person in the vehicle with a gun, Your Honor. We are concerned for public property. We are concerned for the public safety. We are definitely concerned, and we will of course be asking for a stay away order for the female and the victim that was involved in regards to this case, Your Honor. It was quite egregious in regards to what happened. So we are concerned for her safety. We're also concerned that if released, that he will commit additional felonies, Your Honor. Those are the concerns for this.
Prosecution.
We will defer to the court in regards to
What's your
them.
last name?
Will be an objection for any decrease in regards to it because of the concerns I just stated, Your Honor.
And you said you did speak to the victim and the victim's still
Yes.
wanting.
No, he
Yeah.
didn't speak to the victim. I spoke to the victim.
No, Your Honor, I will say it again. Our victim advocate reached out to the victim, and our victim advocate spoke with the victim this morning after giving the information by the defense counsel. And she said she is not recanting. She said, and she was like, I don't want to go there and lie. And if I go to court, I will go to court. And that is in quotes from our victim advocate.
All right.
So let me fill in the blanks there. I spoke to Shanrika Boyd yesterday, and I'm the guy that told Shanrika Boyd, don't lie. And she said, I don't want to come to court and lie, so I'm not coming down there. And I don't want to prosecute Bayman Hinton. He is my ex-boyfriend. I hadn't heard from him since we broke up. I didn't know he was in jail. I don't want anything to be done to him, but I'm not going to lie. So I don't think she's going to cooperate with the prosecution. And I told the DA to call her this morning.
And he did. And I
did.
Yeah, I know, but it's because I told him.
No, I mean, they just did, and she told the victim advocate she's not recanting.
Well, she told me she wasn't recanting, but she also said she's not helping.
Oh, yeah, so we're on position 4. All right, let's see. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. 10,000 count 1, $100 count 2, $100 count 3.
That's on.
Position 4. Then on position 5. Where's he gonna live?
You gonna live with your mother, or where are you gonna live?
With my mother.
Is that on Joseph E. Boone?
I see it has a new address.
What's the address?
Is that Fulton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Here you go. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical visits, also work as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a scheduled exact location you're going to be working. You have to supply that to Mr. Kane so he can supply it to the state and to the ankle monitoring company. Stay away from 349 Cleveland Avenue and 722 Terra Circle. No further contact with Shanrika, Chanrica Boyd, Boyd. 35,000 on each. Best of luck to you, sir.
Happy excuse?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so we have one here for whoever, for Armand Stevens. Come on up.
Your Honor, if I could ask, because there's the co-defendant on position 2, and I was wondering if we had a locate on his attorney.
I'm in the courtroom. Oh, yeah, he's here. Come on up. See. Do you want to do that one first, or what do you want to? Are you trying to do them kind of at the same time? What are we doing?
Your Honor, it will be the same officer. I think for judicial efficiency, I think it will be at the court's discretion. But we have one officer, and these are co-defendants doing the same incident, Your Honor. So the same information that's going to be going for one case will be heard again. So
just tell me what you want to do.
I'm ready to go forward, my officer, and he will testify in regards to both co-defendants. If it's okay with the defense counsel, both co-defendants are brought up. And
Is that what y'all were asking? Is that both of them out here at the same time?
Your Honor, I would have no objection to that.
No objection to me.
Is that doable? Okay. So yeah.
Officer Lego? Officer Lego, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Sir. You can go ahead and have a seat, sir.
So have one sit in the middle.
So, Your Honor, just as they are bringing everybody up, office position number 7 is already handled. Position number 4 and 5 is already handled, Your Honor. We are handling positions 1 and 2.
Right.
And position number 3, I believe, let me make sure.
Yeah, Ms. Clark's just looking to get the other.
In position number 6, Your Honor, our office is reaching out to the officers in regards to that. Position number 6.
No, you have Stevens, right?
I have it during.
Okay, Stevens right here.
Is the attorney for position number 6 here?
Majeski, he just stepped out.
Okay.
All right, so we should have Armand Stevens. That's you, okay, and how do you? And this is Suleiman
Suleiman.
Suleiman Abdurrahman.
Abdurrahman. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so on the first one, it's 22CP208908. And Mr. Stevens, you can see your lawyer on the screen there?
Yeah, now.
Okay, all right. And that is 338 days without indictment, armed robbery, aggravated assault with intent to rob, possession of a firearm during the commission of felony, possession of a firearm by a first offender probationer, theft by receiving stolen property, and carrying a weapon in school safety zones, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. And for Ms. Abdurrahman, Mr. Abdurrahman, it's 22CP208908, armed robbery, aggravated assault with intent to rob, theft by receiving stolen property, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Same things, 338 days without indictment.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, have you been sworn in yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Lower your hands, state your first and last name, step in both reports.
My name is Igor Leo. That's spelled IGOR. Last name Leo, LEAO.
Good morning, officer. Is it Leo?
Leo, yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, officer.
Morning.
All right. Where are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the Georgia Tech Police Department.
And give me one moment, please. My apologies, Your Honor.
It's okay.
And were you employed with them on May 7th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
And how did you become aware of Armand Stevens and Suleiman Abdurrahman? And I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, Your Honor. Please go ahead.
So this incident occurred, like you said, May 7th, 2022. It happened around approximately 11 p.m. on that date. The Georgia Tech Police Department received a call of an armed robbery that occurred near the address of 801 Atlantic Drive Northwest, which is on Georgia Tech's campus, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, in Fulton County.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So what happened was we received a call of an armed robbery. The victims, Mr. Shri Vanga and Sanket, Mr. Sanket,
Please spell both of their names for the record.
So the first victim, Shri Vivek Vanga, that's spelled SRIVIVEK, last name Vanga, VANGA. The other victim is Mr. Sanket Mashawari. Sanket spelled SANKET, last name Mashawari, MAHESHWARI.
Please proceed.
So the victims were walking down on Atlantic Drive from 801 Atlantic Drive towards south, going towards the Tech Green area of campus, when they were approached by Mr. Stevens and Mr. Abdurrahman. They jumped out of bushes and were wearing all black, wearing ski masks and hoodies, and they were wearing jeans. The two suspects produced firearms, semi-automatic pistols, and pointed it at Mr. Vanga and Mr. Mashawari.
Did both defendants have firearms?
From the victim statements, that is correct.
Please go ahead.
So they pointed firearms at both the victims. They asked for their belongings. They took Mr. Vanga's work cell phone, which was a Google Pixel phone, and a Apple iPhone, along with Mr. Vanga's wallet and the contents inside of it, which were ID cards, Georgia Tech identity cards, and other miscellaneous cards inside there as well. They tried to calm them down by saying it was merely prop guns that they were using, pointing at them. And they ran off northbound on Atlantic Drive towards the intersection of 10th and Atlantic. And then fourth, they went ahead and ran towards a emergency call box beacon on Georgia Tech's campus and got in communications with our dispatchers.
Once they got in communication with the dispatchers, what happened next?
Georgia Tech Police Department dispatchers relayed the call over towards the officers, and they began canvassing the surveillance cameras for the suspects. And they quickly found him on camera near the intersection of 10th and Atlantic, walking westbound on 10th Street between the intersections of 10th and State and 10th and Atlantic. At that point, I was already in my patrol vehicle. It was marked and had functioning lights and sirens at the time. I went towards the direction of 10th Street and State Street. They provided also the description of both the suspects, black males wearing black ski masks and black hoodies and jeans. While at the intersection of 10th and State in my patrol vehicle, I saw both the males wearing black ski masks, wearing all black and jeans, walking towards the direction of my patrol vehicle. I activated my emergency lights and I went over my PA system in my car. I told both the suspects to get on the ground, which they immediately started fleeing on foot, going eastbound towards the opposite direction for where I was going. I had a short chase in my vehicle with Mr. Abdurrahman, and eventually I got out of my vehicle and chased him on foot, where the chase eventually terminated when he jumped into a bush. And I then pointed my department issued firearm at him and gave him commands to get him towards the sidewalk area of the ground. We were able to apprehend him with the help of another officer on the scene. We then conducted a search of him. No firearm was founded on Mr. Abdurrahman, but the Google Pixel phone was found on his person in his pockets, along with just one .38 special round ammunition in his pockets as well. The other suspect, he got away from my sight, but I was able to put out radio traffic of his last direction of travel. His last direction of travel was going eastbound on 10th Street towards the Georgia Tech housing called the Family Apartments or the Graduate Living Center, which is on the address, I believe, of 250 10th Street. So we had other police officers start canvassing the area for Mr. Stephen Armans. He was found later sometime about, I want to say 10 minutes after I had apprehended Mr. Abdurrahman. Mr. Stevens was found inside, not inside, but behind a bush in the corner of the apartment in a dark area. He was put on gunpoint and apprehended by two officers. At the time when he was found, he was no longer wearing a ski mask, nor was he wearing his black hoodie jacket anymore. He was apprehended. We relocated both the suspects together, and a show-up was conducted with the victims in a police vehicle. A drive-by show-up was done. The victims were able to identify Mr. Abdurrahman because we still had the ski mask on him. And at the time, Mr. Stevens wasn't able to be fully identified associated with it. It should be noted that a sweep through of the area where Mr. Stevens was located hiding at. We did find a Springfield 9mm semi-automatic pistol with a chambered round inside and a magazine full of ammunition, a ski mask, a black hoodie, and the victim's Apple iPhone was also found in the area near the bushes as well. So the victims identified Mr. Abdurrahman, but at the time they weren't able to identify him because they weren't able to identify Mr. Stevens because he didn't have the ski mask on nor, the original clothing. They weren't 100% sure that he was related to the robbery. But due to the fact that all the items that were found, Mr. Stevens, one of the victims, Mr. Vanga's iPhone was found where Mr. Stevens was hiding along with a firearm and ski mask. It was believed that Mr. Stevens was one of the perpetrators associated with the initial armed robbery. From there on, we took both suspects into custody to the Georgia Tech Police Department, where I swore out warrants, and we did another pat-down search of Mr. Stevens. Inside Mr. Stevens' boxer was all of Mr. Vanga's identity cards and all the wallet belongings. It should be noted that also in that area where Mr. Stevens was hiding was a discarded black wallet, which belonged to Mr. Vanga as well. So we did that pat down, find all those items inside Mr. Stevens's underwear. I swore out warrants, also did a criminal history check of Mr. Stevens. At the time, he was on probation from, let me check my notes real quick. He was on probation for a aggravated assault incident that happened out in Rockdale County on August 5th, 2020. He was sentenced to 10 years on probation. It should be noted as well that Mr. Abdurrahman had an identity card on his belonging to a third victim, actually, Miss Lauren Alicia White. Her name is spelled Lauren, middle name Alicia, Alicia White. They had a Georgia driver's license, or he had a Georgia driver's license belonging to her. I called the phone number associated to the driver's license and actually spoke to Miss Lauren White when I was securing warrants. She stated that her vehicle was broken into while the car was parked near Piedmont Park on May 1st, 2022. And her items were taken. Her driver's license was taken at that time, which was found on Mr. Abdurrahman, and she wished to prosecute. So I secured warrants for the following charges. Mr. Abdurrahman, he was charged with armed robbery, aggravated assault, theft by receiving stolen property, obstruction of law enforcement. Mr. Stevens was charged with armed robbery, aggravated assault, possession of firearm during commission of a felony, possession of a firearm by first offender probationer, carrying weapons in school safety zones, and obstruction of law enforcement officer.
And when you arrived on the scene and you were responding to the call, when you first saw them, were they together?
Yes, sir.
Were they walking next to each other when you saw them?
Yes, sir.
When you arrived on the scene, was your dash cam on?
Yes, sir.
When you got out of the vehicle, was your body cam on?
Yes, sir.
On your body cam, do you have it where they are running away from you?
On my body cam, no, but on the dash camera, there's footage of them running away.
Through this incident, was the actual robbery, was that caught on video?
No.
Did you review any of the video in the area that this occurred? Is there any close cameras?
No.
Do you see them on any cameras on Georgia Tech through your investigation of this crime?
Yes.
And where do you see them on video on Georgia Tech campus?
You see them leaving the area where the initial incident happened, walking northbound on Atlantic towards the area of 10th and Atlantic.
And what time is that scene on video?
That was afterwards, approximately right when the call came out, our dispatchers were able to find him really quickly on camera. So approximately 23:07 hours, 11:07 PM.
And when was the call? What time did the call go in?
Right around 23:05.
2 minutes later.
Yes, sir.
On the camera, are they still in ski? Do they still have ski masks on?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see any weapons in their hands?
No.
Are they wearing the same clothing that the victim described them in when they called using the rescue phone?
Yes, sir.
Were you post certified during this investigation?
Yes, sir.
Do you see Armand Stevens in the courtroom? Your Honor, I asked that all the.
Take their mask off. Everybody can remove your masks.
Do you see Armand Stevens in the courtroom at this time?
Yes, sir.
Can you please describe an article of clothing he is wearing?
He's wearing an orange inmate jacket or shirt.
May the court recognize he has positively identified Armand Stevens.
All right, noted.
Do you see Suleiman Abdurrahman?
Yes, sir.
Can you please describe an article of clothing he is wearing?
He's wearing a blue Fulton County inmate shirt and a white undershirt.
May the court recognize that he has positively identified Suleiman Abdurrahman.
Noted.
Did you speak with the defendants during this investigation?
Yes, sir.
And did they speak with you?
Yes.
Were they Mirandized?
Mirandized Abdurrahman. I can't remember if Stevens was Mirandized.
Let's go with Abdurrahman. Was your body cam on during this when you Mirandized him?
Yes, sir.
And did he waive his Miranda rights?
Yes, sir.
And what did you learn of that conversation with him?
He was just providing me information as to why he was on Georgia Tech's campus. I believe, if I can remember, said he was visiting a friend.
At any time, did you make contact with this friend?
No.
At any time, did you see any legitimate reason for him to be on Georgia Tech campus?
No, sir.
And you said you spoke with Mr. Stevens, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And was your body cam on when you spoke with him?
Yes, sir.
And when you spoke with him, what did you learn?
When I was speaking with him was when I was doing the pat down search of him, when I found the identity cards belonging to Mr. Vanga. Outside of that, I can't remember what else I spoke to him about.
And were there any witnesses to this crime?
No.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. I would like to reserve the right to redirect the officer if necessary, Your Honor.
All right, Cross. Either one of you.
I was gonna say, who goes first?
Your client has more charges, so if you'd like to go first, that's fine with me.
I can do that. We might get a guest appearance for my cat, but we'll make it work. All right, and that's Officer Leo.
Yes, ma'am.
Want to make sure I was saying it right. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
All right, I'm okay. All right, so let's start from the top. So you got the call, or you didn't receive the call, dispatch received the call about an armed robbery.
Correct.
Okay, and I know that other officers responded. Do you know which other officers responded to this call?
Officer Oscar Robinson from Georgia Tech Police Department responded. He was the one who initially met with the victims. Officers Paul Bohr and officers William Daughtry also responded to the call. They're the ones who apprehended Mr. Stevens. And then I believe also Officer Major Massey responded to the call. And at this time, Sergeant Scott Reese also responded.
And were you the first to respond?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you speak directly with Mr. Vanga and Mr. Meshwari?
No, ma'am.
And who actually interviewed the complaining witnesses?
Officer Oscar Robinson.
Have you had an opportunity to review his report?
Yes, Your Honor, or ma'am.
I'm not finished
Sorry.
yet. So, and I had a question about the description of, in the report, both you and Officer Robinson said semi-automatic pistols. And I was wondering, is that description given by the complaining witnesses, or is that added through your knowledge after the fact?
I believe the witnesses added that to Officer Robinson's statement.
Okay, so the complaining witnesses described them as semi-automatic pistols.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did the complaining witnesses, other than black shirts or black hoodies and ski masks and jeans, did they give any other identifying descriptions?
No, ma'am.
All right, so let's start with the apprehension of Mr. Abdurrahman. I believe in your report, you refer to him as suspect 1, is that correct?
Check. Yes.
Okay. And are you the officer that actually apprehended Mr. Abdurrahman?
I'm at gunpoint, and then another officer did show up and help us, Officer Bransford. He showed up and he was the one who put him in handcuffs. I assisted him with putting him in handcuffs as well.
And if you already said this on direct, I apologize, but where exactly was Mr. Abdurrahman apprehended?
Approximately near the intersection of 10th and Atlantic.
And was he just on the sidewalk, or?
Yes, he jumped into some bushes, some shrubbery, and then I had him come out towards the sidewalk.
Okay, and you are not the officer who initially apprehended Mr. Stevens?
No.
Who was the officer who initially apprehended Mr. Stevens?
Officer William Daughtry. He's no longer employed with the Georgia Tech Police Department. But Officer Bohr was with him as well. He was the one who put him at gunpoint.
And were both of them wearing body cams as well?
Yes.
And have you had the opportunity to review any of that footage?
Yes.
Okay. And have you had the opportunity to review your own footage?
Yes.
Have you actually reviewed your own footage? I realize that the way I asked that was.
I reviewed parts of it, especially the apprehension part. It's maybe like a 2-hour long body cam video.
Okay. And Mr. Stevens was not wearing the ski mask or the black hoodie at the time that he was apprehended.
No.
So I know that you said that you located some items, or officers located some items nearby, but I was wondering how far from where Mr. Stevens was apprehended were those items on the ground located?
They were maybe right to the side of where his original location was. I believe maybe 2 to 3 feet.
Okay. he didn't make any statements about those items?
I can't recall.
Okay, and a pat down was done, or an initial pat down was done at that point,
Yes.
but no other items were located on his person at that point. Okay, and are you the officer who actually conducted the show up?
No, the officer that conducted the show up with the victims was Officer Oscar Robinson.
Okay, and the complaining witnesses were only able to ID Mr. Abdurrahman.
That's correct.
Okay. So let's go to the camera. So you were able to view surveillance camera in the area to help locate the alleged suspects.
After the incident, I was able to review some of the camera footage, but during the incident, no. The dispatchers reviewed the camera footage and relayed the information that they saw to us.
Okay, so the camera footage that you were able to review, or the camera footage available, got saved in evidence?
Yes.
Okay. Was any of that footage shown to the complaining witnesses?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay. And you said there were no other witnesses.
No.
Have you had any further interviews with the complaining witnesses in this case?
No.
Okay, and just to clarify, nobody was injured as a result of this.
No one was injured.
Okay, I have no further questions at this time.
All right, anything else from the state?
Yes, Your Honor. The area where these bushes were, where Mr. Stephen Armin was. Can you describe that area a little bit, please?
Sure. So the area was right outside of the apartment area. I would consider like the front of the apartment. There's several like hedges and bushes in front of it, and it was like in a corner, like a dark corner of the apartment complex that there was some bushes in. That's probably the best description of it.
Was there anybody else back there at the time of the apprehension?
No.
Was there any other materials associated with any victims that you haven't stated in that area?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Bassett?
I have nothing further. I would refer to
Lyle.
Mr. Lyle.
All right. Good morning, officer.
Morning.
All right. So regarding the phones that were found on the defendants, how were the phones identified as belonging to the victims?
They were described to us. One of them, I believe the Google Pixel phone had a blue case, and the other iPhone was, I think, had a black case in there. I believe pictures were taken and shown to the victims.
So they saw photos of the phones?
Yes, that's correct. And then once they were taken in, they were shown the phones, and they were able to identify that it was Mr. Vanga's phones.
So they received the phones from a police department evidence location?
Yeah, at the time they took the phones after the incident occurred. Pictures were taken of the phones.
And do you know if the victims were able to get into the phones then when they were retrieved by the victims?
Yes, they were able to.
Okay. Now, regarding the timeline of the arrest, and so you stated that the victims made their call on the police box at 23:05?
Yes, roughly around that hour.
And that they were identified on surveillance cam at 23:07?
Yes, roughly around that hour.
And how long after that, their identification on the surveillance video, did you arrive at the location to see them?
I would say within a minute to 2 minutes.
And how long before the call in the box did they say the armed robbery had occurred?
They had said the armed robbery had just occurred. I don't have a rough time frame. I know it was pretty immediate though.
Were either victim followed up with as part of the investigation?
After this initial incident, no.
And regarding the show up process, can you describe how that occurred?
I believe it was off to the sidewalk. We had Mr. Stevens and Mr. Abdurrahman next to each other. I believe I was to the side of Mr. Abdurrahman at the time. They were still both in handcuffs. The officer drove by at a slow pace, and both both the victims, Mr. Vanga, excuse me, I can't remember the other victim's name. They're in the back of the vehicle, and they were able to see and observe Mr. Stevens and Mr. Abdurrahman in the sidewalk with me.
And were the defendants under like a street light?
I can't remember. Most likely, yes.
Now, just a couple of last questions. So you stated that Mr. Abdurrahman said he was visiting a friend on the Georgia Tech campus.
I believe so.
And did you attempt to find this friend?
No,
And did he give you a specific name?
no,
And on the region they were found in, are there any bars, restaurants, any other public areas like that nearby?
no.
All right, no further questions.
All right, anything else from the state?
Nothing else from the state, Your Honor.
All right, just argument, what about the officer?
I asked that the officer be released at this time and allowed to leave, Your Honor.
All right, any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thanks, y'all, just stay safe out there.
Thank you.
All right, gonna go over your argument, Mr. McCulley.
Yes, Your Honor. For Mr. Suleiman Abdurrahman, I would like to add possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. And
Okay,
and carrying weapons in a school safety zone or school function as a license holder, the misdemeanor 16-10-24A.
okay,
All right, and I'll go on with the argument at this time, Your Honor, and I will treat them since they're co-defendants. It won't be two separate arguments, Your Honor. Your Honor, this was not caught on camera, but they got the call at 23:05 and they had them in that same area 2 minutes later, Your Honor. When the officer first arrived to the scene, they were walking in the same spot that the video showed that they were in. They were in the same area, walking away from the officer at the same time, Your Honor. I understand in regards to identification, they did have ski masks on, but since they were able to track their movements using a video camera system, and they were both there at the same time, that allows us to move forward in regards to identity, Your Honor. They had ski masks on, but they still had the same clothing on that was described to the 911 dispatch or rescue box dispatch as when they were seen in the video independently, Your Honor. And they also had, both of them had, Mr. Abdurrahman had the actual victims, the results of the crime on his person, on his body, inside of his pockets, Your Honor. But also Mr. Stephen Armand was the only person inside those bushes. And inside those bushes was also the fruits of their labor from when they actually did commit the crime, Your Honor. Your Honor, they had the actual victims' items on them, and they were actually walking away from the scene, Your Honor, and it was walking away from the scene in the same clothing and the same items that the victims described them in, Your Honor. We did have at least one positive ID, Your Honor, and also in the other ID, it's more of a digital footprint, Your Honor, because of the time period from when the call went in and when they were seen, and then they were seen together at that time, Your Honor. I ask that you find probable cause for all the charges that are before the court at this time.
Okay. Ms. Bassett.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you, Your Honor. I would defer to the court as to probable cause on these charges. I would ask that no charges be added. I think that there are some substantial issues with this case, but I also think they are more appropriate for a motions calendar. So whenever the state can get around to indicting this case, I think we will have a lot more to do with it. For today, I would very much like to be heard on bond. Mr. Stevens has a bond currently set at $77,500. He is unable to make it. He has been in custody for 338 days without an indictment.
Mr. Law?
Yes, Your Honor. As regards to the armed robbery, aggravated assault, and obstruction, I will also stay on the testimony. But regards to the theft by receiving stolen property, the ID, nothing indicates in the testimony that Mr. Abdurrahman knew that the ID was stolen, or he just picked it up off the ground, because nothing connected him to the broken into car, according to the testimony. And regarding the two additional charges, at no point was my client found with a weapon in his possession or nearby. And the only weapon found by the investigating agents was on the co-defendant. So the possession of a firearm and during carrying a weapon in a school zone seem too tenuous to me for it to be added to these charges.
All right, we'll go ahead and add those two charges. We'll go ahead and address bond on both.
Judge, in regards to Mr. Abdurrahman, he only has one prior arrest, and it was a misdemeanor with no disposition. In regards to Mr. Stevens, he has 5 prior arrests, 1 conviction for a misdemeanor theft by taking, currently on probation out of Rockdale for a first offender aggravated assault and simple battery, sentence 12/15/21 for 10 years. Nothing further.
Ms. Bassett, where's he gonna live? Fulton County?
Yes, Your Honor. The address on file in Riverdale should be, that may be Fulton County. It's close, I would say.
Is that on the Fulton County side or the Clayton County?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Fulton County.
Okay, so yeah, he said it's on Fulton. Okay. All right, for position 1, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Ms. Miller, reading off my bond order, you gotta have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and exact location you're going to be working. I don't think you have any holes, but if you do, you'll have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. No further contact with SRI, last name VANGA. And let's see, Sanket, SANKET, last name MAHESWARI, and Officer Leah of the Georgia Peck Police Department, unless it's in his official capacity. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Let's see. Stay away from 801 Atlantic Drive, and also stay away from any and all Atlanta, Georgia Tech property. Go back here. So it has been 338 days. I'll put this on my email to Madam DA. I got 5,000, 5,000. See if I receiving 3,000, 3,000 and 3,000. I think I got them all right. 2020, 5, 5, and 3 on the other 3. Best of luck to you, sir. Let's see, and on position 2, adding the 2 charges. Is he gonna live in Fulton County too, Mr. Long?
It's in Norcross, Georgia. I believe that's Gwinnett.
All right. So you're gonna have ankle, so I'll read this off my bond order 2, and it was just done on the 20th. We'll go ahead and address it since we added the 2 other charges. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact. And the other one, no further contact with his co-defendant. Solomon Abdurrahman. And on this one, no further contact with Stephen Armand. Stay away from 801 Atlantic Drive Northwest in Atlanta. Stay away from Fulton County except for court or to see your lawyer. You got an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, employment, and medical, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. Also, you can attend before you want to attend your GED program. So you just have to let us have proof that you're attending it. And once again, I keep in there, you got to pay your mom back for any fees that she comes out of pocket getting you out of jail. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. No further contact with SRIVANGA and SANKETMAHESWARIN. Also, no further contact with Lauren White. So we got 20,000, 20,000. 3,000, 3,000. And then possession of it on school by a convicted felon, 5,000, and school property, 3,000. You get that, Ms. Miller?
Yes, Judge.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Bassett. Good to see you.
Thank you, Judge. Good to see you as well. That would conclude my business with the court today. May I please be excused?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you, Mr. Lyle. If that's yours also.
How much my bond, It's 20, 40, 45, 40.
So now we got an empty courtroom and we got
54,000.
Darius Graham and
54,000.
Sanders
You are accepting.
left.
You can, sorry. She is in here though.
Mr. McCully?
Yes, Your Honor, give me. Your Honor, for position number 6, the officer is en route. They said they were coming from McDonough at the time. So that's the information that my investigator received. And that's for position number 6. And position number 3, that's Darius Graham. See if I got an email.
Mr. McCully, I received the same error.
Okay. Ma'am, I tried to, Miss Clark, I did try to forward it to you. They forwarded it to me just in case I have a special email. And I tried to forward it to you.
So in there, in your subject line, do y'all put secure and encrypted and secured on the subject line?
I'll try that one more time.
Yeah, I mean, let's see.
I have some special powers, Miss Clark, but I really don't.
You don't? Okay.
So, in Your Honor, I want to be checking in regards to position number
3
right now. Can I have a moment, Your Honor, please?
Okay. And I'll check too, Ms. Clark, see if I can.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm bouncing, so I said, Judge, if we're still waiting on my witness, can I go back upstairs?
Yeah, you can. Sure. Absolutely. So we just stand down because we're waiting on 2 officers. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to send these files to Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'm going to try to figure out how to get these things on my own. I really appreciate the court doing that. I presume I could go to the clerk's office, I guess, and get the warrant information. So I'll make sure that's done next time.
Total bond, that total.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Six or something like
Where is it? Right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. Why not go to sleep? Or people were number.
Yeah, like 61, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Email.
Right. That was one.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see.
Your Honor, I want to step away for a quick moment just to see if, I know we're waiting. So we're just waiting on positions 3 and 6, Your Honor. I'm reaching out as of right now. Just to, I know position 6 is on his way, I believe. And I'm just trying to see in regards to position number 3, Your Honor.
Okay.
And Your Honor, it looks like a warrant was just sent to me on the case ending in 7717. And I have the.
And I just sent you the other one. Did it come through?
Let me just check it. Okay, let me, I received something from Tasha Miller that purports to that case, but it's the same warrant.
She sent in 717.
Well, I'm trying to distinguish how they put where they put the case number, so I'm looking, and she says it's 47717, but it has the same dates and it's the very same affidavit.
All right, so 717. The warrants actually here are the warrant numbers. That's what you do.
Okay.
EW 358804.
Write that down.
That should be one of the warrant numbers.
Okay.
Ending in 804, 805, 806, 807. All right. Those are under, and then whatever else. Those happen to be under 717. Now under, hold on. 7, 3, 4.
You wrote that down?
All right, this one's ending in this is the case in ending in 3-4. Those warrant numbers are EW3, EW 0377870, 871, 872, 873, 874. And those incident dates are September the 14th.
Yes. Okay. That's the one I don't have, but I do have the one for today. It looks like for the arrest related to the current case before the court. I just don't have the second one. Yeah, these are. These all end in 9/8/22. So the warrants that we're saying are warrant number EW 0359822 is the affidavit, warrant affidavit number. And the 823 ended in 8923.
Those have March dates, right?
Yes, ma'am.
March
March
offense dates,
23rd.
yes. These have September the 14th offense dates in.
Okay, so they must be different.
Mr. McCauley, do we have an ETA on the officer coming from McDonough? I don't know where he went.
Judge Manning. Mr. Henson has upcoming, he's placed on your Orca calendar for May 1st. Would you like for me to cancel those?
Oh, yeah, since we addressed bond, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCauley, I've got your waiver of prelim forms here. What should we do with them?
Just want to let you know, Your Honor, I haven't heard anything back in regards to position 3. And I'm just going through everything right now, Your Honor.
This be the first time this officer hadn't showed for this?
I believe so, Your Honor. And also, Your Honor, I know we didn't get our dockets until Wednesday around 11:30 for today and for the next few days. So Just want to let the court be aware of that. I think I know I told Judge Dallas because I was on with her at that time when my office reached out to me and let me know that. So I just want to let the court know that we didn't get them for today until Wednesday about 11:30, and I know she was working on it all I believe that whole day and into Thursday just for today's just for the subpoenas for today.
So what do you want to do with this? I'm not wanting to take Ms. Clark's time sitting here.
Yeah.
Yes, and just so I can clarify, Judge, I apologize. It looks like the actual warrant information is for case ending in 7717, not the one we're here on today. It's not related to that at all. I don't have the warrant information. Of course, the officer's not here. This is the first time I've appeared on this matter.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe this is the first time, Your Honor. It's the first time for both. For positions 3 and for position 6, it is the first time that it is both of these are on the calendar at this time that I believe, Your Honor.
However, in this case, my client does not have a bond, Your Honor. I don't know if the court would be, I'm not sure what we're going to do about the preliminary. I presume the court will probably continue it, but for the record, we'd of course ask that it be dismissed. But presume the court doesn't do that, we'd ask to be heard on the bond. He's been in jail past.
Right. Sure, I'll be glad to be heard on bond. Let me see. Does the other case, I'm looking at the other case, see if it has a bond.
It does, from what I could tell.
Okay. Was there a prelim on that one also?
I didn't see it in the docket, Judge, as if he ever had a prelim for that one. So I didn't see a prelim. I'm, newly entering. He has about 4 or 5 cases I newly entered on. But I believe the only case he didn't have a bond on is this one, which I thought was a duplicate booking. I don't know for sure, but that's what I thought.
All right. So you want to do this one on just bond?
Yes, if we could.
I mean, I'll only give one reset, and Ms. Miller put in there that the officer didn't show. So there's one reset. Ms. Watts, how far out is it?
May 1st.
Said May 1st?
Yes, Judge.
Ms. Clark, do you want AM, 9 AM or 1 PM?
One's great, Judge, in case I get called to something else.
All right, 1 PM. So we can still we'll go ahead and address bond on it. Y'all want to bring out Darius Graham? We'll at least do a bond hearing. All right, Bostic.
Ready?
Did you have a good vacation, Bostic?
Yes, I did. Celebrated my half a century.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Half a century. You sure about that, Bostic? Let me see your ID. I think you're older than that.
Not quite with you, Judge, not quite with you.
Let's see.
Your Honor, and not to delay the court, I understand that we are waiting in position 6. I know the attorney isn't there as of yet, but just to let the court know that we can, if the court chooses, we can. This is the first setting for both cases.
Well, I mean, if this officer is coming up from McDonough, and he went over to Judge Eaton's courtroom real quick, so he's not in here right now. But I mean, is the officer on the way from McDonough? I mean, that's a pain in the rear end to drive up here and then say.
Yeah, and I can let him, if depending on what you would like to do, Your Honor, I can let them know that we are. But he is coming from McDonough. Where he is at this moment, I'm not sure.
So when he says on his way, what does that mean? Like eating breakfast, getting ready, or?
I don't want to misspeak, Your Honor. I believe that he's actually driving right now from McDonough.
All right. You're Mr. Graham? You have a seat, sir.
Oh,
Great.
actually, he's in the building right now. I just got a text message, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Graham, can you see your lawyer there in front of you on the screen? To wave at you, okay. Can you see him, Ms. Clark? All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
So we're going to reset your prelim hearing because the officer's not here. We're going to do it one time, okay? We get one reset for the officer to show, We're going to go ahead and address bond in this one case, 22 CP 212340, Darius Graham, 209 days without indictment, willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer by use of threats or violence, felony, possession of marijuana, possession, purchase, manufacturing, distribution, sale of marijuana, theft by receipt of stolen property, felony, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, loitering and prowling, and unlawful for a person employed by associated with criminal street gang to conduct, participate in criminal street gang activity, unlawful for a person employed by associated with criminal street gang to participate in criminal street gang activity. Trial.
Judge, in regards to Mr. Graham, 12 prior arrests, numerous open cases, 20 SC 174990, theft by receiving stolen property, firearm during, firearm by, 22 CP 207717, marijuana with the intent, controlled substance 1 or 2 with the intent, schedule 1, substance obstruction, loitering and prowling, carrying a concealed weapon, street gang, firearm during, 22 SC 1812448, meth with the intent, schedule 2, trafficking in cocaine, MDMA, marijuana with the intent to distribute, 22 SC 184219, firearm by a convicted by a first offender, firearm during, marijuana assigned to Judge McBurney. 1 misdemeanor, FTA in 2016, a couple of arrests for probation violation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Clark.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mr. Graham is 30 years old, having turned 30 last month while in custody. He has been in custody for an extremely long period of time. He is a Georgia native. He lives in Atlanta with his grandparents. Mr. Graham completed the 11th grade, but he did take some classes as an auto mechanic. He works as an auto mechanic with his grandfather. We're asking that, I know that there are a number of open cases, Judge. Certainly, we intend to deal with each case that is pending before the court. However, I will say on one of those cases, I think it's the one ending in 418, the drug test results came back, and I noted that what they thought was cocaine was not cocaine. So we'll be having to deal with all of those cases. But we're asking that a bond be set on his behalf. He's been here a long time. Certainly the court could require ankle monitoring, but Mr. Graham would be staying with his family if he's released, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, what says the state?
The state is concerned in regards to the public, Your Honor, and public safety with the charges before the court. They are serious charges, Your Honor, and I believe that I understand regarding the officer at this time, but these are serious charges, Your Honor, and that's what the state is concerned about. And also, since he is already with his history and what was stated, Your Honor, we are concerned that additional felonies could be committed. And that's what the state's concern is. We will defer to the court in regards to the amount of bond, but I just wanted to make sure that is on the record in regards to the state's concerns. Thank you.
Let's see. We got here. So he's going to be living in Fulton County, correct?
Yes.
All right. All right, we got no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 807 Conley Road in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with Officer Fleming, Fleming, unless it's in their official duties. Well, I'm looking to the rest of this through here real quick. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, sir. You have to let the ankle monitor company know and your lawyer, so they'll know if you got a doctor's appointment or something. And I am looking for the other information on 6 and 7. I want to go to the jail side. Also, no replicas of weapons. Where the which alleged gang are we talking about, Mr. McCully?
I will have to reach out to our gang unit. It would have been my first one. I do not have that one listed. Give me one moment. Let me see if it is listed, Your Honor. I was going
Your Honor, based on the warrant affidavit, it says the rolling 60s.
All right, that's the one I can't, okay. No further contact with anybody with the rolling 60s or any other gangs, no social media, no replicas of weapons. Let's see, 1 second. Make sure I got everything here. I think it's allegedly on the same address. Sorry, I'm trying to flip through these as I go. All right, so we got 25,000, 10,000, 10,000, 15,000, 5,000. And there are 2 gang charges, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
100,000 per gang charge. Best of luck to you, sir.
If I may, Your Honor, my client's indigent. That's tantamount to not setting a bond. He's not going to be able to make a bond like that. I just wanted to remind the court that he is.
Right. If the gang ADA was here, they'd ask for 1 million per gang charge.
Well, I'm glad they're not here. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Graham, I'll be talking to you. I'm going to do a virtual visit with you, okay?
And you'll be back May 1st, okay? Is there any other cases we need to get on that date, Ms. Clark?
Why
don't you email?
Let me check my list of folks, if you don't mind, Judge.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you email Orca and Miss Watt? She can put her email in the chat, and that way we can, try to help each other. Some of these get falling through the cracks, and we want to keep up with them. So, and if you got ones that have been wearing an ankle monitor longer than a year, please, email too, and also get back on a calendar.
Thank you, Judge. I'll do
All right.
that. Okay, and I have your email, Miss Watts. Let me write it down real quick.
So the other guy, officer's supposed to be in the building. He's right there.
He's here, Your Honor.
Come on up. You can sit over there at the prosecutor table.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We just got to wait on Majeski to come back now. He's up in.
Does that look right? Yeah, Bria Wallace. Okay.
Uh, 32 and 300. Ms. McCully, what would you like for me to do with these waivers?
Can you email them to me, Your Honor?
Okay.
You got a question?
Nah, I was singing a song.
Oh,
I was rapping.
Rapping.
Happy birthday. I did a job. Good job. I did. 13. Oh, you go. Somebody wait. $1,300. I was like, wow. Told my wife, I said, oh, it's time for a cab car now. I got an issue. Tell I left all the slack. Not coming back. Nah, I love my car though, man. It's a lot. I'm trying to treat myself. Treating everybody. Like my car. True. I gotta plan the truck. Know how, do everything. I told myself I'm gonna get there. Not everyday care. But dealership want it back, man. Cause it's a recall on it for the game. And say, yeah, I basically want it back. What, yeah, extra money back to the bills. You know, you look busy. Yeah, I said, yeah, I can't do everything. So I gotta be major on about that. You know, try to let nobody go. You know, they get something out there. They're gonna have to come with it. They're gonna live gonna have to come by 80. Yeah. You know, you gonna have to tell 80. Yeah. Gonna have to tell. Hey, like I told my kid, I negotiated with her. So, okay.
All right, now we're ready. Nice.
Thank you for your patience, Judge.
Oh, no worries. The officer just got here.
Looks like I got lucky that a messy calendar up there today. Everybody's got something to say about their case.
Just.
Huh? Yeah. I was just like, I'm just here for status. He's like, morning, Captain. Just see all out of each other this week.
All right, so this one's, is it Quinte Sanders, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is position 6, 22213-108, Quinte Sanders, 182 days without indictment. Looks like there is a $2.3 million good bond on possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Possession of firearm by a convicted felon, 182 days in jail without indictment, by the way, if I didn't say that. Theft by receiving stolen property, unlawful for a person to be employed by, associated with a criminal street gang or participate in criminal street gang activity. Unlawful for a person to commit the offense with the intent to obtain, earn, or maintain or increase status. Unlawful for a person who occupies criminal street gang position, organizer, supervisor, management. Unlawful for a person employed by or associated with a criminal street gang to conduct or participate in criminal street gang activity. Unlawful for a person to commit the offense with the intent to obtain, earn, maintain, increase status in a gang, unlawful for a person who occupies a criminal street gang in the position of supervisor, organizer, or management, unlawful for a person employed by a cook associated with a criminal street gang can conduct or participate in criminal street gang activity, unlawful for a person to commit the offense with intent to obtain, earn status or membership or increase status, unlawful for a person who occupies a criminal street gang position of organizer, supervisory, or management. Let's see, raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony about to give is truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? All right, if you can scoot a little bit closer to that microphone and then state your name and spell it for the court reporter.
Yes, Javario Starks, JARVARIOUS, last name Starks, STARKS.
All right, go ahead, Mr. McCully, and we'll address bond at the end.
Yes, Your Honor. Is it detective or is it officer?
Detective.
Detective Starks, where are you currently employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department, gang unit.
And how long have you been employed with them?
12 years with the department, 2.5 years for the gang unit.
And were you employed with them on October 1st, 2022?
I was.
The gang unit, can you please tell me about your training?
Yes, I have over 100 hours of training, specializing in gangs. We document, notate, prosecute, and interview dozens and dozens of gang members on a daily basis, weekly basis, and yearly. So my job is to document to see if it's any gang involvement and to cross reference what we have documented with the Atlanta Police Department to see if a gang charge is applicable.
And how many gang arrests have you or gang investigations have you been involved in?
Well over 100.
And to the best of your knowledge, how many gang members or alleged gang members have you personally interviewed?
Well over 100.
And can you discuss any specialized training that you had specifically for the gang unit?
Yes, we took some California-based gang training, prison gang training. I'm a member of GGIA, Georgia Gang Investigations Association. And we take, of course, the Atlanta Police gang training.
And can you tell me about your knowledge of the criminal street gang Goodfellas?
I've been investigating Goodfellas gangs for like the last 2.5 years. Actively investigated them because I'm assigned their subset, Play for Keeps. So Play for Keeps is a subset of Goodfellas, so they go hand in hand. So I kind of deal with that with both gangs here and there.
And can you tell me about the street gang Goodfellas?
Yes, Goodfellas started off as a Fulton County gang, and they primarily hang out at 195 Fathom Road, 213 Fathom Road. They used to hang out on Delmar Lane before it was shut down. They commit violent acts such as homicides, drug sales, aggravated assaults, robberies. And they have maybe 100 or so documented with the Atlanta Police Department.
And have you been personally involved with investigations into the Goodfellas?
Yes.
Have you been a lead detective in regards to investigations into the Goodfellas?
I took maybe 1 or 2 cases here and there, yes.
And when you say you monitor them or investigate them, what does that entail?
Like I stated, they hang around certain areas. So when crime happens in the area, we go out and interview witnesses, victims, and we monitor social media as well. And we have informants to tell us stuff.
And can you please discuss more about social media?
So social media is a way to plant the gang, promote it, to get people to join, to show fear. So sometimes they post their crimes and they have their monikers on there to represent their gang.
And do you have you seen that in regards to the Goodfellas game?
Yes.
And is there anything specific in regards to the Goodfellas that they do to identify themselves?
Some people have the number 76 tattooed on them. The 7 stands for G, and 6 stands for F. And they call each other Whoa. Sometimes they tattoo NFL, never forget loyalty on them. They say they operate like the mob, so some people have the word mob tattooed on them. There's just a few identifiers they have, and they like to wear the 76 jersey from the NBA.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, I would like to submit that this officer is an expert in regards to criminal gangs.
Counsel.
I mean, I don't object. I don't see the point, but I don't know for the purpose of this prelim.
Okay,
But I reserve my right to object to any relevance, anything on relevance as we go, Judge.
okay. Go ahead. I'll sustain it right now, but go ahead.
And Detective Starks, how did you become aware of Quinante Sanders?
Yes, sir. I was working a job called Fulton nightclub. My coworker observed Mr. Sanders get out of the vehicle, and she knew that he had active warrants. We called MSN to apprehend, I think his name is Mr. Zacharias or something like that, Sanders, for his warrants. And he was detained and they took him to jail. They had the K9 come out to do an open air search on the vehicle that they arrived in. It smelled like marijuana. So they recovered traces of marijuana, and on the floorboard, you can see 2 handguns in plain view. We reviewed the cameras and we saw Mr. Quinte Sanders get out the passenger seat of the vehicle, and the other Zacharias or Zacharias Sanders get out the driver's side of the vehicle. We ran the guns. One was stolen out of the city of Atlanta, and one was not stolen. And it was determined that Mr. Quinte Sanders was a convicted felon out of Fulton County Jail. I mean, out of Fulton County Superior Court.
And where were the guns inside the vehicle?
On the passenger floorboard in plain view.
And you stated that the guns were stolen. Did you get in contact with the victim?
I did not.
And can you please describe the charges that's associated with the criminal street gang and the warrants for Mr. Sanders?
Yeah, so the predicate that was possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And we charged him with A, B, and C, I believe, on each gun.
And did you retain the video from that you reviewed in regards to this case?
I don't have it, but my coworker does have it. Yes, it's on the jump drive, well, hard drive.
And were you able to associate Mr. Sanders with the street gang?
Yes, he's documented with the Atlanta Police Department.
And can you please describe that identification?
He's seen throwing up Goodfellas hand sign. He has the OMF, which is owned by family. His Instagram post, as far as his bio on social media, you can put words on there. And he chose to put OMF. I think it's OMF _ midnight or something like that. He has black hearts, which sometimes they use as their color. And he's seen, with other gang members going up there in size in, Goodfellas territory.
And what does that mean? So if I was to happen to be in that territory and I threw up that sign, would there be any consequences?
If you're not a part of the gang, yes, you can't false represent the gang.
And people who throw up that sign, can you please explain a little bit more? What does that mean?
I can't make the sign, but it's like they throw up the hand sign and they forms a G and the F with their hands. And like I said, that promotes the gang, let people know that they're good fellas. And it just shows fear to some people who scared of them.
And you said he was associated with other known gang members. Do you
Yes.
happen to know any other names?
He was actually with a gang member the night he was arrested. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And we have him documented as far as paperwork with other gang members, but I don't have that in front of me right now.
Did you speak with Mr. Sanders during this investigation?
When Mr. Z. Sanders got arrested, he stayed around, but it was just like a brief conversation. And he walked away on scene. So after the arrest, I didn't talk to him.
Can I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
Mr. Majeski.
Yeah, Judge, I think he asked for a moment.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't hear. Did he
Sorry,
ask
Your
for-
Honor. Just a quick moment, Your
Oh,
Honor.
moment. I was like, I thought he said I had no more. I barely heard him. Thank you.
And Detective Starks, were you the warrant writing officer in regards to this case?
Yes.
And you had previously discussed the interactions in regards to the gun. Do you recall the owner of the gun name?
I don't.
If you reviewed your warrant, will it refresh your recollection?
Yes, but I don't have a warrant in front of me, but if I did review it.
Your Honor, may I have permission to share my screen?
Sure. Can you see it from where you're at, Mr. Majeski? Okay.
I have all of these, Judge.
I forgot about the big television. I was making sure you could see what he was showing.
Your Honor, is everybody able to see it?
Yes, sir.
And Detective Starks, are you able to see it?
Yes.
And can you please state the name of the victim who had their gun stolen?
Louise Enrique Winston or something.
Can you please spell that for the record?
Luis, first name, middle name is Enrique, last name is Wences.
And did you speak with Mr. Wences?
I did not.
And can you review your warrant again and refresh your recollection?
Okay, I did. Okay, yes, I did speak with the owner. I spoke with the owner of the handgun and advised he did not give Mr. Tucson's permission to have the gun, and he does not know him. So I did. I'm sorry.
Okay. And were you ever able to determine a friendship or any kind of relationship between Mr. Sanders and Mr. Wences?
I was not.
To the best of your knowledge, was you able to determine, did Mr. Sanders have permission to have the gun?
Mr. Winston said he did not give Mr. Sanders permission to have it. He does not know
And thank you. Couple more questions, Your Honor. And you had discussed, you have 2 warrants for possession of firearm by a convicted felon. Do you recall the felony convictions that Mr. Sanders have? If you reviewed your warrant, would you be able to recall the felony convictions that he was convicted of?
Yes. Judge, I'm helps out for the purpose of this here, and I want to stipulate he's a convicted felon.
Okay, he's stipulating that he's a convicted felon.
No problem. No further questions, Your Honor.
Right, any questions for the officer or
Several,
investigator?
Judge, thank you. Good morning, officer. Can you hear me okay? State, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, sir.
Judge, I assume you can hear me okay?
I can.
All right.
It's Goodman, you got it?
I can hear him okay, but I can't hear the witness really clear.
Okay, maybe you need to slide to that middle chair, okay? There you go. Go ahead.
Thank you. With regards to these 2 firearms, you have no idea how they found their way into that car, do you?
I don't, they were transported by the people who drive.
Okay. I think you misunderstood my question. The question you answered was, how did they get to the Boogaloo place, right? They were transported there.
Yes.
What I asked was, you don't know how they got into that car, do you?
It had to be whoever's driving the car and the passenger. Yes, that's my answer.
Okay, so you have evidence that, or a witness that Mr. Sanders put those 2 guns in the car?
No,
So the answer to my question would be no, you don't know how they got there.
they got there by the people who was driving the car. And,
Okay, so you got an evidence or witnesses
no,
of people who were driving the car, put those guns in the car?
no,
All right. Neither of these firearms, especially the Hellcat, had any kind of engraving on them saying property of whatever, right?
no,
And you don't know what circumstance whoever put them in the car acquired that firearm through, do you?
no,
You don't have any sort of evidence that either of those firearms were used in any way in furtherance of any kind of gang activity, do you?
they used for offensive, so you don't have to use it, but having possession of it.
Okay, listen to my question. Either of those 2 guns, they were not used to your knowledge of any kind of gang activity, correct?
The gang members have guns for protection, so that's why I put the gang warrant on the predicate act.
Okay, all criminals have guns for protection. These particular guns, were they used in an aggravated assault?
Objection. Asked and answered, Your Honor. Sure, he already said what the guns was for, Your Honor, and why. He asked the question 3 different ways, Your Honor.
Judge, as the court knows, and as the state should know, in order to sustain any of these charges under either A, B, or C of the gang statute, there's got to be some evidence that possession of these guns had something to do with the predicate act under the gang statute. I'm just trying to figure out what it is, because in the warrant, it's just a bunch of conclusory statements about why gang members might have guns in general.
All right, I'll let it go a little bit further.
You don't have any evidence that either of these 2 guns were used in the commission of any crime, do you?
Possession of the firearm by a convicted felon is the crime that I took the gang warrants out on.
Okay. You don't have any evidence that that had anything to do with the gang, correct?
Can you ask the question a different way?
Okay. Was my client seeing any kind of Instagram posts with either of these 2 guns?
No,
Was he seen discussing either of these 2 guns with any gang members?
no,
Was he intercepted on any kind of telephone calls talking about these 2 guns with any kind of gang members?
no,
all the evidence you have is that he merely possessed these two guns.
Yes,
But you didn't take these two guns off of him, correct?
they were where he was sitting in the car.
Okay. Do you understand my questions?
Yes,
Do you understand what off of him means?
I understand that. I've told you where I got the guns.
Your Honor, that's badgering the witness. The witness is answering his questions and then he's answering them, Your Honor. I believe that the detective is intelligent enough to answer the questions and he's understanding what's going on.
Okay.
To understand the questions is disrespectful, Your Honor.
He's answered the question. We'll ask another question.
Neither of these two guns was on his person, were they?
Not on his person, no.
Okay, you don't have any evidence that he was aware that they were on the floorboard, do you?
They were in plain view, so anyone could have seen them if they sat right there.
So you have a witness that says they saw him looking at these guns?
I saw the guns when I walked up to the car on the floorboard, so his foot would have to be on them, and he would have seen them get in the car.
Okay, do you have a picture of these guns where they were located before you moved them?
We took pictures of it, yes. I don't have them on me now, right now, though.
Do you have them in your possession somewhere in your case file?
Yes.
Actually, Judge, you know what? That's all the questions I have.
Okay, anything else from the state?
Yes. How many people were inside of the vehicle?
If I can remember, maybe a female in the back, but I can't remember. But I know for sure a driver and a passenger.
And the driver and the passenger, were they associated with any criminal street gangs?
Yes, Goodfellas.
And were you able to determine if Mr. Sanders was a member of the Goodfellas?
Yes, I was.
Was you able to determine if the other, if the driver was a member of the Goodfellas?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
One second. Just a couple more questions. I'm sorry. How recent is the intel that you have that Mr. Sanders was involved with Goodfellas?
Objection, Your Honor. Mine was limited to his identity, and that's outside the scope of my redirect.
I don't think there's a rule that says I can't do it. All I'm saying is, he's saying, are you able to identify him as a member of the Goodfellas? I'm asking, how recently were you able to do that?
I mean, that may be going in. And I don't know, that's going to put some informants in danger or something like that.
I didn't ask him about any informants. I just said, how recent was your intel?
Your Honor, that is beyond the scope. We did not talk about intel. We did not talk about, he talked about his social media, what he saw on the social media, the pictures that he saw there, and how he was able to connect him with the Goodfellas. He's asking for things that's not even the evidence as of right now, and he's way beyond the scope of my redirect, Your Honor.
All of which are intel.
So I guess it's simply, is he a known documented member of Goodfellas to you?
Yes, he is.
And I just want to know how recent that information is. I'm not asking for any informants. I'm not asking for any CIs. I'm not asking for anything but how recent that information is.
Is that current information?
Yes, it's current.
There you go.
All right.
Anything else?
No, Judge.
Mr.
Nothing from the
McCauley?
state, Your Honor.
All right, anything else for this officer?
Nothing from this officer. Thank you, officer, for showing up.
Thank you.
And you probably had to go through a lot of traffic to get here. Just truly appreciate
Stay
it.
healthy and safe up there, hopefully. Hopefully you can get in the HOV lane or Peach Pass going home.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I say he was released at this time, Your Honor.
All right, yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, we were able to go ahead and identify him as a criminal street gang member, identify him through the pictures, through the signs he was putting up. He was associated with multiple gang members through his social media account, hanging in the areas of a known drug area, throwing the signs up at the time, and that's only done by the criminal street gang members, Your Honor. Also, he arrived at the scene with another known person, Your Honor, that was a part of the same criminal street gang, Your Honor. Video actually showed him inside of the vehicle on the passenger side, and the two guns was there that were in plain view. The officer was able to go ahead and determine that a warrant was necessary, and you were able to see the guns from the street and actually see it. It was only one person that was on the passenger side, and that was Mr. Sanders. Only one person that was actually over there, and that was Mr. Sanders. And they were in his possession. They were able to go ahead and associate him with the street gang by his activity, by the person he was with, and by the actions he have done on social media and live pictures that the officer was able to tell, Your Honor. I ask that you find probable cause for all the charges that are before the court.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Majewski.
And Judge, I'm sorry I'm a little animated about this because I heard a lot different stuff than I did the last time we were before the court where you said a $2.6 million bond. But 2.3. I first like to address the easiest thing in the room, and that's dispositive as a matter of law. If the court were to take a look at Wells versus the state, 268 Georgia Appeals 62, possession of a firearm that's stolen is not enough to sustain a charge of theft by receiving stolen property, absent any kind of circumstance that shows the defendant knew or should have known that the firearm was stolen. There are none in this particular case. The only evidence we have is arguably possession, and that's it. I asked the court to find no probable cause on that charge. Now, the criminal street gang activity stuff, they wrote all this scary stuff in the warrants about how my client's supposedly a hitman walking around with these guns, supposed to do aggravated assaults and murders and armed robberies and all this other stuff for the benefit of the gang, and that's why I had him. There's no testimony about that here today. The testimony is he arrived in a car that somebody else was driving, and these firearms were found in it. Under the law, and this is true for section A, B, and C, which he all took warrants for, and we'll start with C, it shall be unlawful for any person to maintain directly or directly through criminal gang activity or proceeds derived therefrom any interest or control in any real or personal property of any nature, including money. Well, that one's easy, Judge, because the officer, when he decided he was going to answer my direct questions directly, says that he's got no idea how those guns got in the car or how they were acquired. So there's no evidence in which you can sustain that kind of criminal activity because it requires that it had to have been through criminal gang activity or proceeds from criminal gang activity, and there's no evidence of it. As for subsection B, it shall be unlawful for any person to commit any offense enumerated in paragraph 1, 1615(3) with the intent to obtain or earn membership or maintain or increase his or her status or position within the street gang. First of all, the only evidence is, if you believe the officer, that he's a member of a street gang, so he couldn't have been possessing them to earn membership, and there's no evidence that he possessed them to increase his or her status in that particular gang. So that's got to go away as well. Number 1, it shall be unlawful for any person employed or associated with criminal street gang activity to conduct or participate in criminal gang activity through the commission of any offense enumerated in paragraph 1, 1615(3). Once again, this is where we get to the decades-long litigation we've had over this statute and trying to criminalize hanging around with other people. You got to show some kind of nexus between the possession, even if you believe he's in possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, that somehow that had to do with something with his gang membership. It does not, and there's no evidence that was put up by the state that it was. Absent that nexus, and it's required, there's no probable cause to believe the possession of any of these guns, either of these guns, had anything to do with his alleged involvement in Goodfellas. So I asked the court to find no probable cause on all of the gang counts, the theft by receiving count, and I'll admit that for the purposes of probable cause, it is there for the 2 firearms, just as far as probable cause goes, but the rest of this stuff has no basis in law or facts as you heard him today. Yet has kept this man in jail since October 1st, I believe, of 2022, with a higher bond than I've ever had on any case involving an actual body. So as far as probable cause goes, that's my request, because it's not a clever argument on my part. Like people are used to hearing, trying to justify some court of conduct or this comma means this. It's the law. That's what it says. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. McCauley?
He's muted. You're muted.
Apologize about that. In regards to the first two charges, he has already said that he will go ahead and admit that he was a convicted felon in possession of firearms. Your Honor, we had testimony. We had testimony that he did contact the actual owner of the gun. He actually made contact with the person, tried to go ahead and see what was the nexus between the actual victim and Mr. Sanders. It was no nexus there, Your Honor. He was in the direct possession of it because it was right literally underneath his feet, Your Honor. So he knew the officers followed up in regards to the guns, in regards to the theft that it did occur, and knowingly having a firearm that is underneath your feet, you could have if you had an explanation, you had a chance to give it, and he didn't give it at that time, Your Honor. It was aware that they were there. He was basically standing on them while he was in the vehicle. And he was aware that they were in his possession and aware that they were not his because he did not claim, he did not explain how they were there, and he was basically standing on them. In regards to the criminal street gangs, Your Honor, he is, in regards to let's go with a lawful person who is associated with a criminal street gang. That's obviously true. It was through social media that he was associated with them. It was through his connection with the other person in the vehicle, Your Honor. It was two known Goodfellas members driving in together, arriving together, coming in together at that time, Your Honor. That is associated with criminal street gang contact, and so that is right there in regards to that they are together at the same time, Your Honor. We know that we are there. We know that we have seen him in social media, and we also understand that he has already been associated with this criminal street gang, Your Honor. And he is also a person that, since he is known, that means he is associated with it, and he is and employed or working and doing work for that, Your Honor. I say that the state has shown more than enough evidence to show that probable cause should be found in all charges that are before the court at this time.
All right. So I guess it's your position that people who are allegedly members of Goodfellas don't give rods to buddies that aren't Goodfellas?
No, my position is, Your Honor, is I believe that since they were there and they were there at the same time, and you are with a known, you are with a known gang member, you should actually know that the person that you're associated with and what you're doing. And since you are there, that's two criminal street gang members that's associated and possibly doing the wrong thing, Your Honor.
All right. I'll find probable cause on all the counts. It's 2.3 million. Let me hear, let's be heard on bond. You're on mute, Bostic. Great try. Bostic.
Yes. You want his history, Judge?
There you go, Bostic.
Okay, his history, Judge, he has 11 prior arrests. He's on parole violation. He has a prior parole violation, prior 2010 robbery, hijack, aggravated assault, open case 22 SC 184685, meth, firearm by a convicted felon. And with the feds, he has unlawful transportation of firearm by 2015 and 2017, filed by a convicted felon. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Majeski. Are these your parents, your mom, or something? These family of yours?
Family members back there, yeah, Judge.
Okay. Do you want me to hear from them or? Are they just here?
Well,
We don't want to say anything. We just want to sit here.
Well, here's the thing, Judge. When I was down here, or on the Zoom, about how I was lying and minimizing my client's participation.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, we're not able to hear him.
But
Is it green?
there you go.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I didn't hear him when he went to the podium, Your Honor.
Can you hear now?
When I was here for the bond hearing, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
State told me I was lying and minimizing my client's involvement in any kind of criminal street gang activity. We heard he's the leader of the Goodfellas. Been doing all sorts of stuff around Georgia. This is important and everything else like that. What do we find out when we come to the preliminary hearing and start getting the evidence? He was riding in a car with his buddy with a couple of guns that at trial they're not going to be able to prove he knew was stolen. It's just a matter of law. And if the judge instructs the jury on Stripling versus the state, 304 Georgia 131, won't be able to get him on criminal street gang activity either, because there's no nexus with his possession of these guns and he got a criminal street gang activity. And I say that to highlight the fact that a $2.6 million bond should be reserved for extraordinarily dangerous people. There's been no evidence presented here today that my client is an extraordinarily dangerous person. He hasn't been in trouble for several years, other than the current case he's got pending with Judge Carnesale right now, and other than the one violent felony he's got convicted of. That's all he has on his record. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. He's lived in the Atlanta area for his entire life. He's got family that actually showed up for a preliminary hearing, which is about the 5th time I've ever had in the entire 18 years I've been doing this. They run 4 businesses: a logistics company, a storage company, a car restoration company, and I believe a catering company. And he's got 2 children that he provides for. He's got no FTAs, no probation revocations that we've heard from pretrial, and doesn't seem to be out there doing anything except for working. So, Judge, $2.6 million because the state came in here and told you without evidence that he's some kind of kingpin is not warranted in this case, Judge. I asked the court to reset his bond, taking into account his criminal history, at $75,000. I think that's more than sufficient and more than appropriate in this particular case to accomplish the only thing bond is designed to do: ensure his presence at court, which he has no historical problem with.
All right. Mom, did you want to say something? Sister, sorry. No, his wife. Y'all are just here supporting. Okay, thank you both. All right, what says the state?
There was a third lady here earlier, Judge, but she had to go someplace.
Okay. Sorry, I can't really see you guys back there, but sister and wife. Okay. All right, thank you for being here. Go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. The state was right then. The state is right now. The state will be right in the future, Your Honor. Your Honor, it is a known criminal gang. He was with a known another gang member. At that time, he was known. We are concerned. We are concerned not only, as what the officer said, in regards to the homicides, the murders, the drug abuse, and what happens in this community, Your Honor. And he not only is he a part of it, and he has continued to go ahead and do it, Your Honor. We do have open cases. This isn't a choir boy, Your Honor. This is somebody who's rolling around with 2 guns. He has other open cases in a federal case, Your Honor. We cannot minimize what is going on. So it is not the fact that the state is trying to do anything that is wrong. We are trying to, number 1, protect the public, and number 2, protect the public property. And also, more importantly, since we also have another pending case right now, we are concerned that he will commit other felonies, Your Honor, and if he will actually return for the actual hearing, Your Honor, because of the implications if found guilty, Your Honor. That's our concerns. At this time, we will say that the bond is appropriate, and we have already stated our concerns, and we would object to any decrease in the bond at all, Your Honor, and we will defer to the court in regards to the amount of what the bond will be.
Is there a bond on the indicted case? The Carnicel, do you know?
There has been, it's never been revoked, Judge.
Oh. Well, there was a bond surrender on 123.
Well, I could fix that. I didn't know about that.
You see that? Yeah, on January 21st, there's a bond surrender. From A Rapid Bonding.
Well, it was just a bond surrender. The bond order is still in place and haven't been revoked. I can just have make a new bond on that one too.
Yeah, I don't know if, just look.
But the state's never moved for or been asked for a bench warrant in that case or to revoke his bond.
All right, let's see, let me get back to this one. All right, let's see. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons, no further contact with Lewis, Luis, last name Wences. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. Stay away from Boogaloo. That's at 239 Ponce de Leon. No further contact with Zacharias, Zarquirous Sanders, Sanders. Stay away from any gang members and any gang members of Goodfellas and only my family or any other gang members. No social media. Let's see, trying to remember if I'm getting all those from the gangs. Replicas, no social media or any other gangs, not just those gangs. That ankle monitor will be paid for by the, do you want that or one of the teletricks? Mr. McCauley,
I'm sorry, say it again.
do you want that or one of the teletricks monitors?
The Teletrix, the monitor, Your Honor.
The teletricks, do we have the wording for that in a bond order? Did you get that, Ms. Miller?
Yes, Judge.
So you know the wording for the teletricks?
Oh, no, I don't know the exact wording.
Okay, hold on. I think Ms. Robinson has it. Send it to me. Let me check real quick. Let's see. Sorry, let me see if I figure. Hold on, there's special language that goes in there for that one. Let's see.
And I'm reaching out also, Your Honor, just in case the other unit has that information.
Yeah, there's certain language. I'm just trying to find where. Think. Hold on. Let's see, let me see, I want to make sure this is the right language. Let's see. There they go. Maybe this one's it. Yeah, drive me crazy.
I reached out, Your Honor. Hopefully they'll hop on, and I went to the whole unit, so hopefully somebody hop on soon.
Yeah, there's certain language, and I swear that, Embry, I think Travoria got it the other day. That's what I'm looking forward to see where she has it. I think she emailed it to me.
Okay, I reached out to her, Judge.
Let's see. So this is like a watch as opposed to an ankle monitor, so it's not as. Let's see.
No, from that guy.
What's that?
I met the guy that does that out in Carrollton one time.
Yeah, let's see.
Better.
Okay, here's one, I think, where's Miss Miller? Miss Miller, here's one. I think it's like a sample. So I'll send it to you. I'm looking. Let me know if you get it, Miss Miller.
Yes, Judge, I have it.
Okay, so that's what needs to say there about. There's a couple ones. Anyway, so look at the email that it'll be supplied by. Funded by the counties, just like this order. So you'll see it. So it'll be a Teletrix monitor or GPS monitoring instead of putting removed by it. Anyway, so it'll be that. And here's what I'll do. Sorry, I had to find that correct language. It's new to me here. 15,000 on count one, 15,000 on count two, 10,000 on count three. Then all those are 250,000. I reduced them to 1,000. 100,000. So 100,000 on each of those. So 4 through 12 is 100,000 apiece. Got it?
Yes, Judge.
All right, thank you. Best of luck to you, sir. I just sent this, the email to Ms. Willis to like get them indicted. I put my list on there. I think that's it, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we're back at 1 o'clock.
So you then